Frank Isganitis from the LimeRock Inn is in the spirit. He's going to show us how to put together an ambitious gingerbread house. And it's fun, festive, and something you can do with the kids. We're going to make a gingerbread house. Coming up in the 207 kitchen.
One of the things we like to do in the 207 kitchen is give you some new ideas, things you might not have tried. I think we've succeeded today. Frank Isganitis from the LimeRock Inn in Rockland is with us, and we're doing something ambitious, a gingerbread house. Where do we begin, Frank?
Well, we got to combine some ingredients to get started with making our gingerbread.
All right, now you've already got something going here. What's this?
I've got my sugar, my eggs, my honey, and my butter combined together and heated in a pan. And for mixing purposes, I'm going to pour all that into my large mixing bowl.
Okay.
And you let that melt down just for a few minutes, and it becomes a nice easy liquid to work with.
All right.
And then we're going to step over here, and we've got our dry mixing ingredients.
Tell us what you're starting with. Flour?
That's baking powder.
Baking powder, okay.
And we've got cinnamon, cloves, some ginger, of course, because what would gingerbread be without
Gingerbread house without ginger would really be lacking something. I think that the code inspectors would be after us.
Certainly. A little nutmeg and salt. And we'll take those ingredients and just kind of mix them together. And we can grab a cup of flour.
Now, this recipe actually requires a lot of flour, right?
It really does. At the end of the day, you're putting 12 cups of flour in this mixture to get it all going.
So when people see this on the website, when they go to get the recipe, it's not a misprint. It is 12 cups of flour, right?
Right,
okay.
right.
And I want to make that clear.
And the tip is just take it a little at a time. And so you see, once we've got the dry ingredients mixed together with 1 cup of flour, that goes into the wet.
Okay.
I'll set that off to the side again.
Out of the way for you.
And then you've got to start combining that together. So you can see that once the ingredients are starting to mix together, that baking powder, the baking powder is kind of fluffing up. So we'll start adding our cups of flour. And it's easy at the beginning that you could put 2.
He's stirring here tonight?
Yeah, that's great. Boy, not only does he anchor, but he helps in the kitchen.
My talents are modest. I do what I can. All right, so we're not going to put all 12 cups in.
No, we got...
Get the idea, keep stirring, and then what's the next step? Do we move on to the press? Is that the right word?
Well, once you've got somewhere around 8 or 9 cups of flour, you're not going to be... You can see it's starting to thicken up in the middle there.
Yes.
And at some point, you're going to have to throw this all out on a wooden board or on the countertop and start kneading like you would a traditional bread dough.
Yeah.
And working the flour in 1 to 2 cups at a time, and eventually you'll get all 12 in. And then the next step would be cutting your gingerbread.
All right, well, why don't you show us how that would work?
Well, there's a couple of different ways to go about it. The less formal way that works for me is I created a couple of templates just out of plain cardboard.
Very good.
And we're not the fanciest place.
A little Yankee ingenuity there.
But it works. And it certainly makes, because then what you'll do is you'll roll the dough out to about 1/4 to 3/8 of an inch.
Yeah.
And then what you do is you just place the
with the dough
you would put the dough, once it's rolled out, you would take the template and then just use a knife and then just cut around it, and it can go on your cookie sheet. And this dough will bake for about 20 minutes in a 350 oven.
Okay.
But for someone who's not so geometry inclined to cut out templates, you can, in some of the better kitchen specialty stores, find ready-made templates on a press like this that you can see the front and the roof is on one side, and then they've got 2 sides, and this one even calls for a little bit of a dormer on the gable on the front of the house.
Obviously, it's essential that you have the right size shapes if the house is going to fit together when you're done.
Well, one thing you've got to do is be consistent with how you do everything.
Okay, next step.
What you want to do is you want to lay out the 4 pieces ends down, but sort of facing in the way you want them. One little trick that I want to point out when you're assembling the 4 base walls is these 2 side pieces. You see how they're slightly inset on the outer wall pieces? That's a good way to make sure that there's not too much stress on this side wall when you're putting your roof pieces on.
Okay.
And that will help it adhere better.
All right, final steps, because we're running out of time here.
Sure.
So the last, give us the last tips in terms of the decoration and the final assembly. And I'm going to mention, as Frank is proceeding with that on November 27th, you keep going. November 27th in Rockland, the Holiday House Tour, which is done in conjunction with the Historic Inns of Rockland, will be going on. Again, that's the 27th of November, and Frank is going to be doing a gingerbread
demonstration in the house.
That was the word I was looking for. Thank you. So if you're interested in that, again, November 27th in Rockland. The roof goes on.
The roof goes on.
Held on by the frosting.
And as we talked about, that is canned frosting.
Canned frosting, yeah. You don't have to do that. That's one thing that's save you a little labor. And then in terms of the decoration, you say let people do what they like, go crazy, have fun.
Yes, just whatever you'd like. There's no rules. My personal conviction is it has to be edible in order to be authentic.
That's right. You don't want to go to all this work and then not eat it. Again, if you'd like to find out how to make this wonderful-looking gingerbread house, just go to our website, WCSH6.com, click on the 207 icon. You'll find the whole recipe there. Frank, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you, Ron.
Showing us how to do this. We appreciate it. Stay with us. We'll be back with more right after this.